viendo esperar bastante con la nueva temporada de Game of Thrones. Por eso, para calmar la ansiedad, la tenemos a ella, una de las protagonistas. ¿A cuántos de ustedes les gusta Miss Sunday? Este personaje tan emblemático de Game of Thrones. Bueno, la vamos a tener aquí en el escenario. Por si alguno es distraído y no se da cuenta de la característica de este personaje, este video nos va a ayudar a recordarlo.
Sunday of North.
How many days were you asleep?
Long enough to know.
Not long enough to understand. I serve my queen because I want to serve my queen.
Y ahora sí, en el escenario de Argentina Cómic Con, atravesando la alfombra roja, llega Nathalie Emmanuel. El aplauso para Nathalie. Thank you so much. And welcome to our country.
Thanks. Oh, thank you.
How you stay in Buenos Aires?
Oh, it's been great. Had a lovely time.
It's your first time in our country.
First time in Argentina. Thank you for giving me a reason to come here. Just to hang out with everyone. Thank you.
How do you feel with the passion of the fans of Game of Thrones?
Oh, just fills me with so much joy, and thank you. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much. We speak about your career, your beginning in your career. What made you decide to become an actress?
I became an actress because it was really fun. That's genuinely why I started acting. Actually, my mum kind of put me into dance and singing because I was really shy, and I only wanted to be with her. Dropping me off at school was like a nightmare because I would just cry for my mum all the time. So doing dance and performing arts sort of gave me confidence.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember your first audition? Was difficult, your first auditions for movies?
My
series?
very first audition?
Your very first?
Oh, I was little then. Yeah, I think I just thought they were, when I was small, I just thought they were fun. I didn't think of it as a test or something serious. But when I got older, yeah, I remember feeling quite nervous in auditions.
Mm-hmm. We have a video of Maze Runner. You play an amazing character in Maze Runner. Bajamos las luces.
Oh.
What do we do?
Here. Hold this. We got a pretty diversion. You get ready to chuck it.
Everybody, get set to sprint back to the truck and hold your ears.
Ready? 1, 2.
Drop it. Now! I said drop it! On your feet. Let's go. Let's go! Move! Back up!
See.
You need to over here now. Come on, let's go. Don't be stupid. Move. Slowly. Eris?
Oh my God, Harriet?
Oh my God. What the hell are you doing here?
Son.
Harris, you're lucky we didn't shoot you, dumbass. Alright.
What's happening? We were in the maze again.
We're clear, guys! Come on out!
Clear! Stand down! Wow. Do you know something about Maze Runner, the series, before to come to the movie? Did you read the books before?
I actually hadn't read the books. No, I knew very little about it, and then my agent, who was sort of harassing me, so he was like, read the script, and I was like, I will, I'll get to it, because I had like, I was working at the time, I was a little bit busy, and he was like, have you seen the first one? And I was like, no, I haven't seen the first one. And then I went by myself to watch the first Maze Runner, and I didn't finish reading the script, but I just loved the first movie that I phoned my agent back and I was like, yeah, I'll do it, it's fine, let's do this film. So.
And how was the experience in this set?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. We have a really cool group, great cast, and it was a really lovely crew. And we shot, when I shot Scorch Trials, that was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that's just like a really interesting place and beautiful place. And I really enjoyed sort of learning about the place and meeting people there. And it was great. We had a lot of fun, a lot of explosions, and you know, I had to learn how to load and fire a gun, which I'd never done before, and that was fun.
Yeah, this is an incredible saga, but other amazing saga is Fast and Furious. You play an amazing character in Fast and Furious. We have a video. Tenemos un video de Rápido y Furioso, lo vamos a ver ahora. Vamos bajando las luces.
Did you hear it? Feeling nauseous? Ears ringing? What?
Where's my shoe?
Oh, I flew off when you crashed. When you start experiencing any of those things, let me know, okay?
I don't know whether to thank you for rescuing me or kick your ass for throwing me off a cliff.
Thank us or kick our ass, huh? How about you tell us where that device is?
I mailed it to a friend in Abu Dhabi.
That's pretty easy. That other team would have tortured you for that information.
I didn't trust them. I trust you.
Now, why would you trust us? You barely know us.
I know enough. Ex-cop, military, something like that. The way you took out them guys shows training. Tech guy, offended by the hacker remark, naturally. Alpha. Mrs. Alpha. Joker.
Wrong. Double alpha. Man candy. You know what I'm saying? Man, sit your candy ass down. Disrespect is real around.
Life is binary. Zeros and ones. Only two things keep a group like this together. Fear or loyalty. And I don't see a drop of fear among you guys.
Very impressive. Just one thing. They're not married. She's so off, it's crazy. You just gonna roll with it? You telling me there can't be a double alpha in one group?
You work for US government.
We got similar interests. Call it in. We're going to the Middle East.
Wow. How was working with this amazing cast? Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, The Rock.
Everyone was amazing on this film. That scene was my very first day on the film. So they just sort of threw me in at the deep end, like, by the way, your first scene is with the entire principal cast of the Fast and Furious franchise. And that was pretty intimidating, but also wonderful. Everyone was really warm and welcoming, and you know, Vin advocated for me from the very beginning, and I I was there because he fought so hard for me, and that was amazing. And working with Paul Walker, rest in peace, who was just such a sweet, warm person, and it was just a pleasure. I only knew him for a few months, but it was enough to know how special he was. And yeah, I feel blessed to have just met him, let alone call him my colleague. So that was a really special experience. And Michelle Rodriguez, I mean,
Yes.
I almost just like have to bow down to her a little. She's just such a badass. And yeah, it's really cool working with such a strong, intelligent woman, and I've learned so much from her. And yeah, everybody, Chris, Tyrese, I mean, there's so much fun. They're jokers. We have such a laugh together.
Yeah, it's like a dream team.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, amazing.
And did you enjoy shooting with fast cars, speedy cars?
Yeah, well, the actual driving is done by stunt drivers. We're not allowed to drive cars fast, you know, for insurance reasons and health and safety and what have you. Also, I don't have a driver's license. I don't drive a car, and that's sort of mortifying. That I've done 2 movies about cars and driving them fast, and I can't even drive a car legally. So that's kind of embarrassing. But I have had fun in the cars where they rig them to create like the motion of driving. In the first Fast and Furious movie I did, in Furious 7, excuse me, when Ramsey and Vin and Dom drive off the cliff and then tumble down a hill, they had to put me basically in a car that they then span in the air 3 times. It was a bit like a ride at like a fairground or something.
A coaster.
Yeah, right. And like it was pretty intense. But it was great fun, and it just goes to show the sort of tricks in the trade, you know, behind the scenes, and how they create these effects, but like keep us safe. And so there's an amazing stunt team and loads of people making sure that we're okay. So.
Great. Well, I want to talk about Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And obviously, the first question is, how did you get the character? How did you get Miss Sunday?
How did I get her?
Yeah, how did you get?
You mean I went for an audition?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I actually have been a huge fan of Game of Thrones from the beginning, and I may or may not have like harassed my agent, like, is there a part in Game of Thrones? Is there a part of Game of Thrones? She was like, what's Game of Thrones? Like, what are you talking about? And then I saw like a breakdown from Sunday, and it said playing age 18 to 25, non-white actress. I was like, that's me. I'm both of those things. And I phoned my agent in London, and she said, I've already seen it, you've got an audition next week. And then I went for the audition, and I was put on tape, and they send those tapes off to America, and then I didn't hear anything for like 5 weeks. So I just assumed I hadn't got it. And then, I was coming home one day, and I got a phone call to say that I had got the part, and that I cried a lot and screamed.
And what was your first reaction when you read about your character, about the story?
Well, I had watched the first season, and then I'd started reading the books. So I hadn't quite met Miss Sunday in the books, but I basically just started reading faster. And I got to book 3 where she first appears, and I just thought that she was a really interesting character. I mean, she's small, she's quite a small character in the books, and also she's 9 years old. She's like a child.
Yeah, it's a child.
I definitely wasn't a child.
No.
So, so I had to try and adapt her to be played by a grown woman, and take elements of her personality that I could feel from the books. And she just seemed like a really, like, kind of quiet, gentle soul. So I decided I could bring that to her in how I played her on the show. And I made certain choices about her physicality, how she walked, how she stood, very contained. As a result of being an enslaved person, you know, she carried herself a certain way to make sure she didn't make a mistake or step a foot out of line, because that could be life or death for someone who's a slave. So that was very much worked into how I decided to play her. And when I started reading the scripts, I was like, this is going to be cool, because I'm hanging out with my gal pal, Daenerys Targaryen, who's another badass, and so I was like, this is going to be really fun.
Your character is a translator. Was difficult to speak the many language of the series?
She speaks 19 languages, and I think she's learnt another one. I think she's at 20 now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you what they are, but yeah. So I've had to speak a number of versions or dialects of Valyrian. So when you hear me announce Daenerys, when I say something like Daenerys Jarmasmo Ionaja Demas and Lentor Targaryen Zio Prozio Elos Dorzati Marino Daria. Just that little old thing. That is High Valyrian, so that's basically like speaking Latin. Yeah. And then I've had to translate, like the Valyrian that like I speak with Grey Worm. I'm sorry I don't have an example for you, but that's a low Valyrian. That's sort of like a more colloquial version of High Valyrian. And then I've had to speak a couple of words here and there of Dothraki or Giscari. And then there's been another type of low Valyrian as well that was so obscure that Daenerys couldn't understand it. So it's all different sounds. When you're learning it, it's like different parts of your mouth are working, like your teeth, your back of the throat, like, and it changes depending on what type of Valyrian you're learning. So yeah, it's complicated stuff.
Wow, amazing. We have the first scene of Missandei in the series. Vamos a bajar las luces. Esta es la primera aparición de Missandei en Game of Thrones.
Did this one's ears mishear, Your Grace? They did not. I want to buy them all. Ebas consimijo uni.
Los cotas ponerejo. Jeremy Tabasco cocktails que kimajo pop bembe misilo rojilas y tobacco tolico in bilas.
There are 8,000 unsullied in Astapor. Is this what you mean by all? Yes, 8,000, and the ones still in training as well.
Doni si na hosi poshi bive. Narijosli is just a poor.
Master Grayson says they cannot sell half-trained boys. If they fail on the battlefield, they will bring shame upon all of Astapor. I will have them all or take none. Many will fall in battle. I'll need the boys to pick up the swords they drop.
Oh, gotas Rene Rosa is
Master Krasness says you cannot afford this. Your ship will buy you 100 unsullied. Because Master Krasness is generous. The gold you have left is worth 10. Could Master Krasness give you 20? The Dothraki you have with you. The Dothraki you have are not worth what they cost to feed. But Master Krasness will give you 3 unsullied for all of them. Master Krasness asks how you propose to pay for the remaining 7,877 unsullied. I have dragons. I'll give you one.
You will win the throne with dragons, not slaves, your grace.
Khaleesi, please.
One.
Two.
One. They want the biggest one. Done.
Done.
I'll take you as well. Now, even Master Krasny's gift to me. Token of a bargain well struck. Pindasko jiunte bila kameruti. Pindasko gome la kizisir.
It was in a real location?
Sorry, say that again.
It was in a real location?
Yes, that was in Essaouira in Morocco.
Morocco.
Yeah, and it was, they built a lot of the set inside, but it was basically at a fort, which was on the water, and it was a really cool location. Yeah, this was a really fun scene to do, and it's also the moment that we realise how smart Missandei is, because she's very tactfully translating her master.
Yes.
And you know, obviously we weren't to know that Daenerys could speak Valyrian, and it's the moment that she realised how much of an asset and how much of a smart woman Missandei was. And it was also the turning point for Missandei. It was her liberation, so it was a pretty great scene to do.
And how was working with Emilia?
Oh, I love that girl. I love working with Emilia. She is wonderful. She's such a sweet girl. She's so very, very talented. And we just have so much love and respect and support each other. And I couldn't have asked for a better colleague and a friend. So I feel very blessed that this show brought me to, Emilia as well. She's fantastic.
This question is difficult for me, but what can you say about the relationship of Missandei and Grey Worm?
What can I say about Grey Worm and Missandei? I have thoroughly enjoyed playing that storyline with Jacob. We have seen these two characters who are so bound and so restricted and so just in their trauma of slavery. They have had to grow and become human beings, or see themselves as human beings and find their voice, find their humanity, because it's been suppressed, it's been oppressed out of them, So I have thoroughly enjoyed seeing their romance and their love and their intimacy grow over the seasons, because I think that's been a huge part in them finding out who they are and finding their authentic selves, and it's been really beautiful. It's such a pure, innocent romance that I think because they came from the same place, they came from similar trauma, they were ripped from their families, abused, mutilated in Grey Worm's case, and they've got this common place between them, and it's just been such a beautiful thing. And then now, obviously, we've seen the moment, and even in that scene, they just were so gentle and kind, and trusting of each other, and it was such a lovely scene to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, like Jacob and I were like totally weirded out. We were like having to get naked together because we're like friends. We're like, he's my bro.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was a conversation about that. But you know what?
You're pretty close?
He's like, we've just been through a lot together on the show, and I feel that he's my confidant and I'm his, and you know, we've grown to be good friends, and I think I felt incredibly supported by him, and I hope that I supported him too. And our director was fantastic, and we had loads of rehearsals, so we knew when we went onto set that day that what exactly what we were going to do. So we knew step by step what was going to happen, so nothing was a surprise, and we knew what the setups would be, where the cameras would be. So all we had to do was do it, and that I was really grateful for, because it just took a lot of the anxiety away, and it just allowed us to be present and in the scene together. And I was incredibly proud of it. I mean, Grey Worm, as a character who has suffered incredible pain and abuse and mutilation, he allows this woman that he loves to see him. And there's like real, it's really beautiful to me, because it's so vulnerable. You know, we're all vulnerable in you know, with the person that we love, but their situation is so unique, and I think from Missandei's point of view, it didn't matter. She loved him anyway. Before we even got to this point, she loved him. She knew that she loved him, and she was, just by him showing himself to her, I think that was meant so much to her, because she loved him and wanted him to trust her. And yeah, it was a really lovely scene, and I was really proud of it, actually. I was really, really proud of it. And you know, we have so many, there's a lot of sets in Game of Thrones, I think we all know that at this point. And I think this scene kind of was different, it felt different. And with all the sort of gore and the horror and the like, just the many, many deaths in Game of Thrones, and this little storyline, this little sort of this little bit of hope and sweetness, and kind of, oh, it's so lovely, and I feel really happy and proud that I got to play that.
Great.
Thank you.
We have a funny scene with Peter. It's very funny. It's a very funny Missandei.
Your Grace, there's still no word from the ensemble.
No, la que sigue, la otra escena, la de Peter Dinklage.
The next one.
The next one.
Sunday, do you like the wine?
I do.
Tell a joke.
Two translators are on a sinking ship. The first says, "Do you know how to swim?" The second says, "No, but I can shout for help in 19 languages."
How much improvisation did you get to do in this scene?
Not much, to be honest.
it-
That was a
the
genius
script?
joke written in the script by our writers. Yeah, that was a really funny scene to do. I really enjoyed it, and like Missandei telling jokes. I mean, what a moment for her. Like, I mean, bless her. She sort of, you know, she took her shot. She didn't quite, you know, get it in the basket. Bless her heart. It was a lot of fun to do, and I love working with Peter, and he's just a lot of fun, and we like Jacob and I, who are always so sort of serious, often are in fits of laughter when we're just supposed to be being you know, professional and like, because Peter and Conneth as well, who plays Varys, always are making us laugh, and it's just so much fun.
For you, for Nathalie, what is your favorite house of Game of Thrones universe?
My favorite house?
Yes, the Lannister, the Stark.
What kind of question is that? Of course it's Targaryen. I'm loyal.
For me, Sunday. But for Nathalie?
Targaryen, come on. There's dragons. There are dragons. I have to be loyal to my team.
So about the dragons, how is working with the CGI creatures, the dragons?
Well, when I first started the show, they were still very small, so we had like models that were very realistic. They were painted and like looked very real. But then over the course of the seasons, they just got too big to have like a model, like a physical model. And there was often just a guy with a stick and a green ball on the end, sort of swinging it around, and that would be our eye line.
The dragon!
Right, and then eventually they got too big for that. Eventually it was just like, look in that general area, because they're flying over there, and they'd be so big that we would all just sort of do this, or, you know, something like that.
You need a lot of imagination.
Yes, you do. And that's part of the fun of being an actor. It's so funny when I think about like my job. You know, when you're a kid and you like play make-believe with your friends, and you're like, you come up with whole stories, and then now like someone wants me to do that for a job, and that's really cool. I'm like, wow, does anyone know that this is happening? Am I allowed to be here doing this? It's really fun.
All right. This is the last question. And how important was Game of Thrones in your life, in your career? What changed in your life and your career?
Oh, everything changed. It was definitely a turning point for me, personally and professionally. At the time when I got that job, I'd been working on a number of like TV shows in the UK, but I'd been unemployed for a really long time. And I had been working in retail in a clothes shop, like every day from like 7 a.m. probably till like 8 p.m. or something. It was awful. It was awful because sorry, like I said this last night, but the people that I worked for it wasn't good. But anyway, I mean, they could have been nicer, that's what I'm gonna say. Some of the jobs that they had us do were not ideal, but the people were nice, but sometimes the job wasn't. And I guess I'd kind of lost confidence a little bit in my ability as an actor, and I just thought maybe this isn't going to happen for me. And I was thinking about going back to school, and so when this job came in, it was a confirmation that this is what I wanted to do. This is like, somebody wanted me to do it. It gave me something to work towards. It just gave me that fire in my belly that I'd lost. And I was really excited. I was really excited to get started. I had about 5 months after I got the phone call to say that I had the part until I started filming, and it felt like an eternity. All I wanted to do was just go and film and be a part of this show that I love so much. And so it was a turning point for me. It meant that I got into rooms with producers and casting directors that I probably wouldn't have got into otherwise, because everybody loved the show so much. It was such a great show to be a part of. The credibility of the show meant that people were like, oh, I just want to meet you. Like, not necessarily because there was like a job or a film or a TV show that they wanted me to audition for. It was just like, just want to meet you and say hi and have a chat. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And it sort of led me to then be involved in the franchise movies that we've seen clips from today. And it changed everything, and I guess that I'm eternally grateful. Even if it all ended tomorrow and everything stopped and I never acted again, the last 6 years of my life have been so unbelievably like special and amazing and exciting because of Game of Thrones. And so I'm like, yeah, there are no, I said a lot of words, but there are no words to quite describe what this show has done for my life.
You're very nice, very sweet, very nice. Congratulations, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, and I just have to say, Argentina Comic Con, thank you for the really warm welcome. Thank you for being fans of the show and the other jobs that I've been lucky enough to do, and we do it for you guys. You guys make it possible. We go to work every day for you, so thank you so much.
Y este aplauso es para Nathalie Emmanuel. Thank you so much, Nathalie, thank you.